recording. This is called,
We want a sign with a date and time.
yeah, this is,
How do we know it's you, Scott?
this is
Blink once if you're in distress.
the statement. This thought sound exactly like yesterday.
Yeah.
No, exactly like Sunday.
Endless loop. Oh,
Yeah,
there
There he is.
He's waving.
Hooray.
How do we know that's not an avatar?
Yeah, how do we
Yeah.
know?
We don't, but we'll go on faith.
Yadin, I propose at the end, we all together, be together in the camera to say something like that. together.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Like go Texas A&M or something.
With my potatoes, with my
I
potatoes.
know.
She always does that to me. When I'm at the podium about to start, she leaves the room.
Sign of respect.
Didn't hear me, huh?
Just a quick reminder, you'll have to share your slides from your computer there locally, if you have slides.
Don't be share screen and choose the right one.
Fred's the expert. He's become the expert on
I'm
this
also
whole
advancing.
system.
You know,
He's much better. We came in here, we did, as a event team, did not do much in these rooms. Our education team did. So, and of course, it's been almost 2 years since we've been back in the office. We haven't been here since March of 2020. So, had to relearn it all.
May the fourth speak with
as we commit the force.
Yep, looks good. Thank you, guys.
Star
Do
Wars.
we need this?
Oh my God, it's Baby Yoda. Or no, that's not Yoda.
No, that's old Yoda. That's old Yoda. Baby
you.
Yoda.
What is young?
Grogu is so cute.
Baby Yoda. What's his name? I don't watch
Grogu.
any of the Star Wars. I mean, I watched the ones
Oh,
from
yeah.
the 70s when I was a kid, but
So Nick,
Look, they stole the Star Trek symbol that looks like a Leon bird of prey or something.
no, that's the rebellion, no?
Okay, let me try and get the audience under control. They're so excited about
Yoda.
Yoda. Good evening, everyone here in the States. Good morning, everybody else in Asia or Africa, or happy midnight in Europe. I can't tell you how delightful I am to be here. What a great honor for me to bring you short message for the closing of the 4th International Clinical Engineering and Health Technology Management Congress. I do recall the first one we did in 2015, and we did not foresee this success is coming as we did in the 4th. So as we commit the 4th to history, there are a couple messages that I want to give to you if I only find a way to advance the slides.
Use the force, Yadin.
Voilà. Okay,
The Fred force is with you.
the Fred forces.
There you go.
Okay. So why I'm excited? I'm excited, number one, because instead of counting years, months, and weeks or days to end a successful Congress, now I'm counting how long will it take this guy at the podium to finish this talk so we can close it. So I'm excited because we are just about to finish. But I cannot let you go without taking home a very important message. Because this Congress was such a success, I wonder what does it take to have a clinical engineering Congress success? 2 years of stress while searching for the answer raised several questions, like, is it the location? Sherry, who is here in the room, worked very hard on the venue, came up with the idea of Disney World. She said, they're gonna be entertainment for the family. It's going to be a great convention center. The hotel will be great. So is it the location? Well, unfortunately, you know, due to COVID, we could not travel internationally and we have to give up on that. So then we ask the question, is it the post-event entertainment? Is it the dinners, the gala, the rides in the Disney World, or the wine in the restaurant around the corner, or the beer? What is it that would make a success? Then there are questions about, is the Congress offer a really hot subject? Is it really what now we're struggling with? What is the temperature of the content of the Congress? And are those subjects have sufficient spread that they stretch to cover everything that I'm interested in, like cybersecurity on one hand, in contrast with innovation on the other hand, with health technology management in low resource setting in the center, and maybe above it, regulation and policy, and below it is home care, digital health. What is it? Or, as Tom was telling me, it's all about the cost of the admission. If only we can make it free for all, it will be a great success. And he did. He did. Is it the quality of the speaker and their presentation? Don't count me in on that. But the question is the network that you desire, the engagement that you have with one another as attendees is definitely start climbing the scale towards what's really important. And I believe that finally the answer is that have a professional home, knowing that you are coming to your Congress that dedicated to your problems by your speakers on your subjects is the really key to a successful Congress. Therefore, Global Clinical Engineering Alliance and the International Federation of Medical and Biological Engineering, Clinical Engineering Divisions are happy to be the organizer of the Congress with AMI as a host and a partner all along the way. Delightful to work with such a professional group. In addition, the hundreds of people who submitted their work and the scientific committee who worked so hard to review the abstract and select the best of the crop. Add to that all the volunteers that came to moderate, that work behind the curtains, as Tom was saying several times, Luis Caliroy. And above all, I think that we have to recognize that we are part of a sector where industry is a member. And I would like to give recognition to those members of the industry who help us this year, specifically with the Zoom, who gave us the beta application format of their new platform, Zoom events, that you all enjoyed, able to do both virtual and interactive collaboration, with R0, with thanks to Helium, Schiller America, and hopefully we'll have more members next time. You know, the medical devices market is really large sectors. If you look just at medical device market, you can see in 2017 on the left side of the slide, about $400 billion US, of half of it represented just in North America. And the projection at that time was that we will reach over $600 billion industry, which the COVID now increased beyond that because the rapid investment in technological tool all over the world. It's a large market, require attention because it's a big part of our resources. Healthcare environment is basically around the world averaging at 10 cents of the gross domestic product of all countries around the world. That means that 10 cents of all services and products produced in the countries around the world are used to fund health for the different sectors of the population. The dependency of healthcare services on technology for delivery of their programs is at all-time high, and the trend is projected to increase. All-time high, and the trend is projected to increase. So if the dependence on technology to provide those services, legacy services, or the digital health of the future, or the remote touch, all that we talked about here in the Congress, that means that we need to be prepared for our role in technology development, application, sustainment, and adoption. The evolving model of technology-enabled care has the potential to change many roles. The healthcare delivery ecosystem is a continuum of wellness, prevention, care, and accessibility. And it has the learned provider and the consumer who is dependent on this relationship. Sometimes the consumer is not in the position to make decision, like a patient under anesthesia in the operating room. And that consumer is depending on us and on the learned provider that we are making the right decision and the right management. And as you can see, this transition is expected to accelerate, and it's already offering new opportunities for clinical engineering in the field. So the combinations of innovation, new material, new knowledge, supply chain manufacturing, and the growing life sciences knowledge contribute to the shortening of life cycle of technology, and therefore more rapid change of equipment in our facilities. Unfortunately, like most things in life, there are hazards and errors, and it's estimated that between 8 and 12% of the patient admitted to a hospital experience an adverse event that is preventable. Those are related to errors, and they are listed here according to Isabella Guerrillas. But it's not only the hardware, it's also the digital health software, the application that we are anticipated to see, like you see in this report from July 2018, where the mother milk was given to the wrong baby because the barcode reader that was used by the nurse made a mistake in the identification. We don't want to repeat that. We want to mitigate and eliminate that. Our good friends in the World Health Organization, Adriana Berumen Velasquez, always tell us that access to safe, appropriate, and optimal quality technology is a must. Yet you can see from this result at the World Health Organization summit that 1 in 4 patients in low resource countries visiting ambulatory healthcare are harmed during this service. That 134 million adverse event occurs yearly in such hospitals in those regions. And look at the number. Can you imagine that those medical error costs reach $42 billion? What can we do with that amount of money? If we will have this extra 42 billion US dollar, what can we do? So it's important that we in this field will understand that hazards do exist in everything in life. When you drive from your work after we got back to normal after COVID-19, from your house to work in your car, but You didn't put the oil in the steering system. The brakes are already wear and tear, and the tires are not in good shape. You can understand the hazards that you might be subjecting yourself to and the risk associated with that. So it's not only in healthcare, transportation, and other industry all have some expectation that those hazards that do exist will be controlled, in compliance, and managed, so the risk that we expose ourselves or other to will be minimal. We need to increase the appreciation for global clinical engineer role in mitigating the technology-related risk. And how do we get from hazards to risk if hazard exists in everything in life and we want to prevent risk? Our job is risk management, is by understanding that if you are the beachgoer standing here on the sand and you see the triangle fin in the water, but you keep yourself on the sand, you are seeing the hazard, but you are not subjected to a risk. On the other hand, if you had a couple glasses of wine, which I consumed before this talk, which was not smart, and you jump into this triangle fin and you try to be friendly with the shark, now you are subjecting yourself to a risk and you may be subjected to a harm. Risk has three main factors. How often does it happen? From never happen to very unlikely. If it happened, what is the potential risk magnitude from minor to catastrophic? And is it describable? That's the idea of cardiac monitors. We put alarms because we can discover the risk before it happens. Very simple. So those three factors, we need to know them, we need to teach them, and we need to design to avoid them and mitigate to a minimum. What we are essentially, as you can see here, we are the lifeguard on the sand. We are the lifeguard on the beach, and that's what the public is expecting our role to be. But this is not only a phenomena on the beach. It's the ecosystem of the healthcare delivery. It's an orchestra, and the orchestra has sectors, as you know, the string, the woodwind, the brass, the keyboard, the percussion. Jenna, the percussion, the keyboard. Jenna liked me to be animated, so I'm doing it. The strings.
Yes, there you go.
So every section is important, and if one is not existing, the composition will not be like the composer designed it to be or wrote it to be. There is no one can do the whole orchestra by himself or herself. There are roles, and if you are not there, the music will not be complete. So we are part of the orchestra, and if you don't believe in music, I don't know what you believe in. So we have a sector in this orchestra. The intended outcome, therefore, is the idea of safety and quality, zero medical error, and resilient, patient-ready technology. Resilient, patient-ready technology. Even during COVID, we found ways to make technology patient-ready and resilient. So to play in the orchestra, clinical engineers need to be like professionals, to be trained, to practice, to be competent, to engage with other musicians on the orchestra, with other stakeholders, with the administrator, with the clinicians, with the surgeons, and so on. To play in the orchestra, clinical engineer need to be part of the platform. They need to be on the stage so they can interact with other professionals on the stage in the same orchestra. So we need to have a body of practice, a body of knowledge. We need to make sure that they recognize the instrument we play on, and they know when we come in and get out of the concert. And we need to build alliances with other stakeholders, with other musicians on the stage so we all understand who is playing what when. To get there, we need to provide evidence for the added value we bring to the orchestra. And we're not doing that sufficiently. In the survey we took earlier in this Congress, and Krishnan took notes of that, I saw, is that we selected education, professional credentialing, and recognition as the pillars. We need to be able to understand the relationship between well-managed technology life cycle and patient outcome. It's not enough to go to work to maintain EKG monitor if you don't understand what's the contribution for the patient outcome. Those are not machine, those are tools for taking care of patient. So are the lifeguards today sufficiently protecting the beachgoers? This is a question to all of you. So what I'm telling you is that we have a lot of achievement. This Congress demonstrates new knowledge, a legacy knowledge that has been modified to reflect different regions around the world. And we are part of the healthcare silent heroes community. You know, credentialing of clinical engineer just 5 years ago, so many less certified engineers than today. This is a good trend. You know that Global Clinical Engineering Journal did not exist just 5 years ago. We have now our journal, the Profession Journal. We did not have the Clinical Engineering Alliance organization just 5 years ago. I would say just 1 year ago. Now we do have a clinical engineering dedicated organization. We did not have, and we did not hold Global Clinical Engineering Summit 6 years ago. And when we celebrated Clinical Engineering Day to reflect all the achievement we did, it was a day at a time we were begging for material in 2015 from countries around the world. Today, we got so much content, we had to turn it from Global Clinical Engineering Day to Global Clinical Engineering Week. Do you think that in 5 years, we will turn it to a Global Clinical Engineering Year? Year? I will put the challenge out there and we'll visit and see. We have global clinical engineering training in variety of format. And we now have, for the first time ever, a not-for-profit foundation dedicated to clinical engineering subject, dedicated to raise money, to fund research at the point of care to demonstrate the relationship between technology and patient outcome, only for that purpose. Never had that before. And it is important so we can bring the evidence to the table. You know, we organize and manage International Clinical Engineering and Health Technology Management Congress before. We did the first, the second, the third, and now the fourth. May the fourth be with you. But with that, we also the success brought some challenges, because now, ladies and gentlemen of the profession, as we become a profession, we also need to find a way to sustain it. We need to live up to the commitment of a profession. We need to have a body of knowledge we can all point at and say, this is what clinical engineer expertise is about. And we need to be able to point to the body of practice so we can say, this is what the practice in this region, in that region, and in this region. We are not able to do it yet, but this, according to the Global Clinical Engineering Summit 2 days ago, we committed to find and define those. We need to strengthen our capacity to engage with policy, regulatory, and decision makers that we have not done very well until now, but we are going to do it now. We need to understand the relationship between the customers, the patient, and the performance of technological tools. by collaborating with the people who are using the tools, wherever the title might be, a pathologist, a cardiologist, dermatologist, a surgeon, etc., etc., etc. So I'm not going to go through all the bullets on those slides. They're going to be archived and you can visit them. But the message here is that we aim to maximize the benefits from healthcare technology and clinical engineering expertise for the patients and their care providers, while at the same time minimizing technology risk and cost. And I give the credit to Professor Dan Clark from Nottingham in the UK. I hope he's awake and seeing his name here in the closing remarks. So as I said, may the force be with you. May the technology life cycle be subject to proper controls at each phase of the life cycle, from innovation, ideation, to prototyping that engineers are doing, to preclinical and clinical trial, to the manufacturing, to the marketing, and to the use and obsolescence, and the cycle start all over again. Do you know how many physicians approach me as I'm working the field with idea that they have, and they only want an engineer to make it into a product, to make it into an adoption, to make it into an app? A lot. The answer is a lot. It's happened routinely. And we need to be able to tell the world, look what happened. What they hear about the artificial heart is about the cardiologist who invented, quote unquote, and applied it. They did not hear about the engineers who worked so hard on making it and sustaining it. Unfortunately, with that, we still see, at least in the US, in the post-market review by the FDA, the number of adverse events to patient, to the consumer, are rising to a tremendous amount of over 600,000 reports a year. We should be able to do better than that. We should be able to set a goal and work with industry, work with regulatory agency, work with hospital, and say no more adverse event above certain threshold. I'm not suggesting zero, but hopefully we can bring it down to below 100,000 a year. 600,000 per year, that's too much, especially when 1/3 involve use error, which means that human factor engineering is involved heavily in that. Global Clinical Engineering Alliance, GCA, is a new international society that highly focus on the challenges that Global CE Summit pointed out, and has intention to work with partners just like IFMB, CED, and collaborate on program, like you're saying in the bottom here, on Global Clinical Engineering certification program as an example. We will work with and align with many other fields, as I said, with think tanks, clinicians, other engineering, and with the administration, and with regulators and academia. We also have our own Global Clinical Engineering Journal. And we, as clinical engineers, need to believe that if the Ministry of Health opened the door and say, dear clinical engineer, what is your wish? We can bring the evidence to say, if you grant me my wish, here is what will be delivered. We need evidence. Evidence is not my word, is not Tom's word. Evidence is a peer review published scientific evidence, scientific paper. We need to teach our colleagues how to publish, how to perform research, and how to make the evidence shared and available to others. You know, the last 22 months changed the world, touched everyone, causing sudden and widespread devastation. It is still a disaster situation. We cannot move forward without realizing that. But at the same time, we learn that no place is an island. Japan, that hosted the Summer Olympic, is not an island as far as the virus is concerned. And therefore, we need to accelerate our way out through developing defenses and rebuilding the healthcare capacity to fight this terrible challenge. And the way to do it is by looking at the good things that happened during the COVID. People helping people, scientists work with scientists. The speed warp of the development of the vaccine was because of this international collaboration. And we need to be able to be part of that and be the drivers in this project. So today I'm saying we have all the reason to celebrate global clinical engineering and to have a big party. We have the ability to bring this concept to reality by saying that we understand that clinical engineering is at the gate of opportunity, but we are ready to be accountable. We understand our duties, and we will perform like professionals. Commit to continue education. Commit to demonstrate our competency. Commit to serve the community. Commit to do our job ethically and serve the consumer or the patient. And I encourage you to join the Global Clinical Engineering Alliance because, as I always say, together we can make it better. So may the 4th be with you. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity and taking the time to listen. I am delighted that this is the concluding comments of this Congress that was so successful because of everybody that was involved. And I'm looking forward to see you at the next one. Thank you. Play the last video.
Do it.
Scott, can you play the video?
Stand by, I'm getting there. Apologies.
I knew it's Avatar. Okay, talking about meeting you next Congress. Let's see.
Well, we talked about the space shuttle.
DJ, thank you for clapping, clapping, clapping.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. This video is not playing. I'm not. Just had it.
Ali, if you have the video, you can share the screen maybe with the video.
We need to bring Kelly as a.
Ali, where you've been promoted to a panelist, now you can share.
So we couldn't
are-
start the video from here. We're gonna try to start it from the UK. Convention of the next Congress. The Olympic torch. And the reason we are not letting you know the location, because we are considering virtuality is a new era for clinical engineering. So with that, I would leave you for the rest of the evening or the rest of the day. And I thank all of you to give me the pleasure of being here with you. We would like to have pictures with the leaders.
We gotta hurry because I'm just talking to my wife in 2 minutes.
Milo, Milo.
Where are we going? Where are we going?
Here.
Are we going to be in the video?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be memorialized.
Yeah.
So step out from behind the podium, just come to the side here and we'll be able to get a little bit of the podium in there.
Okay.
But in the video also, so we can, I would like to send you all the,
Okay.
Hugs around the world,
yeah,
go for it.
go for it, Yadin. We're listening to you.
No,
We're
but
going to make.
better the,
to
turn
send-
the camera
we are
around.
not-
and we
Not
can be
a
standing
photo,
there.
we're going to send a message to all of them together.
Right.
Yeah.
You're on now.
I
Okay.
think we should. Yeah.
Kelly, you can turn on your camera.
Thank you.
Yay!
Woo-hoo. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Adriana says bravo.
Adriana. Yay!
Good job.
Kali. Okay,
Hey, Kali.
we did it.
We can also
Robert.
Last thing you always have to do is sign off. Good night, world.
Good night.